Hello everybody, my name is Francesca Pollicino and I'm a PhD candidate in political science at the University of Messina. Today I will talk about the EU legal migration policy with an insight in the Students and Researchers Directive and the active policy framework as outlined in the recent communication by the European Commission attracting skills and talents in the EU. With the Treaty of Amsterdam and the communitarization of the area of freedom, security and justice as a community concurrent competence, followed by the Tampere European Council in 1999, for the first time, the will of member states to coordinate their efforts in order to develop a common EU policy in the field of migration and asylum emerged. General objectives set in Tampere and translated later on into the Lisbon Treaty, namely to ensure efficient management of migration flows to the EU and fair treatment of legal resident third country nationals, are still there actually. However, since then, a slow change of paradigm has occurred. From setting common minimum standards on rights, admissions, and residence conditions for all third country nationals to attracting the third country nationals that the EU economy needs. The Lisbon Strategy, launched in 2000, defined the EU long-term vision for its development strategy for the decades to come. The powerful idea to make Europe the most competitive knowledge-based society deeply biased EU policies in terms of mainstreaming skills, competences, education in many sectors, including legal migration patterns. Since 2003, a series of directives were passed, laying down the conditions and standards for entry and residence of third country nationals in a number of particular domains, most prominently highly skilled workers, students, and researchers. The first directives regulating legal migrations were adopted under Article 63 of the Treaty of the European Community, based on the Council unanimity vote for adopting acts in the field of migration and asylum. These led to the adoption of a set of directives, not always complementary and coherent among them. The coming to force of the Lisbon Treaty in 2009 dramatically changed the legal basis for the adoption of legal provisions in this field. Since Article 79 of the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union states that the Union shall develop a common immigration policy, including labor migration, and shall adopt measures by ordinary legislative procedure. We could have expected a boost in this field of very ambitious measures to tackle the issues of legal migration as an opportunity for development. But still, the resistance of member states to give up sovereignty and competences in this field played a strongly limiting role. Today, there is a wide body of legislation based on 4 specific directives regulating economic migration, which I will not go through for reasons of limited time, and 3 general cross-cutting directives on legal migration. I will focus on the recast directive number 801, adopted in 2016. It repeals and replaces the Students' Directive adopted in 2004 and the Researchers' Directive adopted in 2005. Both directives were adopted taking into consideration the increase in the internationalization of studies and research and the EU-funded program in this sector, in particular the Erasmus Plus program and the Marie Curie program, which in these years opened to third country nationals. In 2011, implementation reports on the 2 directives were published by the EC, the European Commission, highlighting a series of limits and shortcomings. Low level of harmonization due to few legally binding provisions and vague obligations for member states, which resulted in a reduced efficiency of the transposed directives and high uncertainty for beneficiaries. In 2013, the European Commission proposed an ambitious recast directive that, after 3 years and a complex interinstitutional dialogue, brought to the adoption in 2016 of a very prudential version of the European Commission proposal. The ratio of the new Students and Researchers Directive is to attract talents and qualified human resources from third countries in order to fill the gap and shortage of competences in EU labor market, to ensure easier and clearer admission procedures, and to secure third country nationals equal treatment with EU citizens. On 23rd May 2018, the deadline for the transposition of Students and Researchers Directive expired. All member states adopted the directive except Ireland, which continues to apply the 2005 Researchers Directive, and Denmark, who opted out. The last countries to transpose the directive have been Belgium and Slovenia in 2020. The scope of application of the directive was certainly among the most disputed issues during the 3 years adoption process, resulting in a compromise solution. The Students and Researchers Directive addresses 7 categories of third country nationals, namely researchers, students and trainees, remunerated and unremunerated, volunteers, exchange pupils, and au pair. These 2 last categories are new and are not compulsory for member states to transpose, along with volunteers not in the European Volunteer Service. This also is a category that is not mandatory to transpose for member states. The directive regulates both the issuance of residence permits and long-stay visas. It introduces many novelties, trying to overcome the previous shortcomings. It widens the scope of beneficiaries, grants the access to labor market for students, at least 15 hours per week, tries to guarantee more transparent and definite procedures for authorization, a set of standard mandatory conditions flanked by optional admission conditions, sets tight schedule for taking the decision on authorization, maximum 90 days. It makes the accreditation of hosting institutions not mandatory for member states, introduces the possibility for students and researchers to stay on the territory of the member states after having finalized their studies or research for a period of at least 9 months, to seek an employment or to set up a business. The directive also tries to limit arbitrary decisions by member states for rejection or withdrawal of authorizations. It is actually too soon to have an idea of the impact of the directive, since the transposition is relatively recent, and since 2020 there has been a considerable slowdown of mobilities due to COVID-19 pandemics. Anyway, in June 2021, in order to relaunch an active policy framework for legal migration, in June 2021, the European Commission launched its Talent for Partnership initiative, coined as a key endeavor under the new Pact on Migration and Asylum adopted in 2020. The aim is still to promote mobility for third country nationals seeking employment or training in the EU. With the communication attracting skills and talents to the EU, adopted in April 2022, the European Commission has relaunched this tool, setting out 3 priority areas of action and a comprehensive active strategy to promote legal mobility paths. A legislative area of action, the European Commission has underlined the importance of recasting the long-term residence directive and the single permit directive. An operational area of action, which is the implementation of the talent partnerships, and most forward-looking future-oriented policy measure, which is based on 3 specific priorities for action, which are care, youth, and innovation. The talent partnerships are an operational tool providing a comprehensive policy framework and a funding support to boost mutually beneficial international mobility based on better matching of labor market needs and skills between the EU and the partner countries. They will be open to students, graduates, and skilled workers. The Commission announced that it would launch the first talent partnership with North Africa partners, in particular Egypt, Morocco, and Tunisia. This is not surprising, actually, for their implementation to start by the end of 2022. The idea is that on the basis of a needs analysis of the labor market of the European Union, training pathways and technical assistance for partner countries will be implemented. A systematic approach among the directives in force and under revision, together with a program supporting high-level mobility schemes and innovative active policy tools could enable both long-term and circular migration pathways. The EU is looking for a comprehensive, forward-looking model based on complementary policies and actions in cooperation with partner countries, neighboring countries, tackling short-term and long-term needs. If successful, this tool could also recover, together with short-term mobility programs, the circularity of migration, reducing the brain drain effect from the country of origin, being mutually beneficial for the migrant, for the country of origin, and for the EU labor market. Thank you.